getting excited yet.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 0 to 60, and today we're playing with my lovely Renault Megane. In fact, we're putting a Decat on it. Now, I've wanted to put a Decat on this car ever since I got it, mainly for the noise, let's be honest, but also just to get the heat away from the turbo, and it just helps make things last a bit longer. The pipe that we've gone for is a Scorpion Decat, and we went for it because it's the cheapest. I'll put a link to them down below. Looking at the quality of the pipe, it's actually pretty well made. It's heavier than my N54 downpipes, even though it's a smaller downpipe. So there's a bit of weight and solidness to it. Nice welds. The only thing I could pick on it, it didn't actually come with any gaskets or bolts or anything. So let's see what dramas we get into on the install. Now, I'll just show you what this car sounds like as it is with the standard catalytic converter right now. So yeah, it didn't sound bad, but I just want to get a little bit more whistle out of the rear end, and yeah, again, hopefully to make it a bit cooler up at the turbo. So, installing a Decat on a Renault Megane. I've read a few forum posts. There are a couple of YouTube videos, but they're not the most comprehensive. So let's see what dramas we encounter. Come around to the front, and I'll show you what we've got to do first. Just place the pipe on. So being a front engine, the turbo is actually between the engine and the cabin. It's actually under that heat shield. Now the car's nice and hot, and I'm going to try and start on doing stuff while there's still heat in all the nuts and bolts, just to hopefully make them separate a bit easier. But basically what we need to do is initially get the covers off, get the top 3 nuts that are on the turbo removed, get the O2 sensor out, we'll put it up on the lift, and then we'll have a look at the bottom. Okay, so heat shields come off with the 8mm bolts, nice and easy. Now from this point, the engine was running literally 5 minutes ago, so it's all very hot still, but we've got 3 of these nuts to take off the downpipe on the turbo side. I want to try and crack them as early as I can while they're still heating it, and then I'll get on to the O2 sensor. I'll do the O2 sensor last, because worst case scenario, it can come out with the downpipe if we need to. Just started to crack the first nut on the turbo, and it was tight, but there's basically no room to get to the second one with the O2 sensor in place. Now I don't have an O2 sensor tool, but I've used a small spanner and then a breaker bar as leverage. Hopefully you might have seen it on the time lapse, but that has just cracked the O2 sensor. So hopefully, it still needs a little bit more tweaking. And never, if you've ever taken an O2 sensor out, make sure you don't twist the wires. The wires can get very fragile. Obviously they're very close to a lot of heat. When they get a bit of age onto them, you just don't want to overly twist them. So we'll try and get the O2 sensor out without damaging it. Which is going out nicely. So this is the last nut and stud coming out the turbo. On this car, which I'm fairly confident it's never been taken apart before, the nuts, the copper nuts that hold the downpipe onto the turbo, all have decided to become one with the studs, and the studs coming out of the turbo before they're coming out of the, or before the nuts releasing from the stud. All 3 of them have done it. That's the last one. And yeah, it was tricky to get that back one. I ended up doing it using a 13mm socket on a pivoting ratchet, just with a bit of a tap on a hammer. That was enough to get it out. But yeah, not sure what I'm going to do about that studs. I don't know if I want to reuse them. We'll get the downpipe out of the way, and we'll have a look at how the face of the turbo looks and how they're going to seat on the new flange. So we've got the car up. Maybe come around and have a look. You might be able to, actually I'll steer it, I think. Hopefully you can see up in there.
but that there is the catalytic converter. So to get that out, obviously we've got to try and make as much room as we can to get it down. The torque mount, engine mount, this is going to have to come off, which is fine. I've had that off this car before. And to actually undo the 3 bolts that hold the catalytic converter, we're going to have to use some extensions, and we'll get to them this way. I can see there is a bracket up there. Hopefully the GoPro's picking it up, which is also holding it, and I know there's a bracket on top of it somewhere. So let's get the mount out of the way and see what we can get access to.
So guys, probably need to give you a bit of an update because as normal we encountered a few problems and we just kept working. Basically all 3 of the lower exhaust bolts were seized, so all 3 of them snapped. That was the first of the issues. Once we got those out, they snapped in the downpipe, and I'll show you once we got the downpipe off. But what we're doing right now is just making a slice into the top of the downpipe. Now, because of the U shape of the downpipe, it won't actually go past the original exhaust manifold unless you get rid of the drive shaft, and I'm trying to save some time. But come over and have a quick look. So we've had the reciprocal saw cutting from the back, and I've put my blade down, but yeah, we've cut through 3/4 of the downpipe on that angle. I'm going to put the saw in backwards and then cut from the front of the car to the back of the car, and hopefully that should get this end piece of the downpipe off, and then it'll slide past the exhaust manifold. And hopefully the next time you see us, we'll have the downpipe on the car. I'm getting excited yet. That was tight. Move this out of the way. So it took about 3 hours, but we got the cat out. It was a bit of a nightmare. I might get you to just come in close so you can see these were the exhaust studs that all broke on the cat. Now they're the bits that connect to the tailpipe. And what else was a bit of a nightmare? Something that I didn't appreciate. There are 2 brackets that hold the original cat on. There's one here which you can actually feel. So it'll sit like that in the car, and you can actually feel that nut and the 8mm bolt that goes onto the block there. It was just easier to get a socket on that bolt, so I undid that and took that bracket off. For the other bracket, which hangs over down the side here, you may notice it's still connected to the cat. This bolt just rounded off. It was not going to undo. Bit of a pain in the backside. So we just cut that bracket with a reciprocal saw, and I'll remove it from the block as well, so it doesn't. It's not needed because the new cat, or Decat, is much lighter. It's only going to use the one bracket from the side, or from the middle I should say, on that point there. While I've got them in front of me, I just want to show you guys quickly how much bigger the Decat is. I didn't realise how restrictive these standard cats were, and just giving it a quick measure, it's about 50mm, 52mm in diameter, that hole there, where the new one that we're going to be working with is 70 to 72. So we're going to be flowing a lot more air, or exhaust gas, and of course we haven't got the restriction either. So it's going to keep the heat away from the engine. Okay, I guess we need to get this one back on. Okay guys, well I just wanted to give you a bit of an idea on what was involved to get this piece out before we put the rest of the car back together. So I had to cut off the top of the downpipe from the top of the vehicle. Now I did that with a blunt reciprocal saw, and it was an absolute pain in the ass. It took nearly an hour because my blades were knackered. I should have gone and got new blades, but the actual original downpipe's made of reasonably thick and good quality
stainless maybe, I don't know. But yeah, very, very strong metal. Make sure when you're going to do it, if you're going to do it without taking the drive shaft out like we did, you do just need to cut it, and you need to cut it as close to this corner as possible, and you'll get away with cutting it at one end, not having to do both. Some people did say they had to do both. We did not. Yeah, so just do that cut as far as you can to that corner on the downpipe from the top, and that'll give you enough wiggle room with the engine mounts off to twist the engine forwards and get this sucker out. Okay, so I fed the downpipe up from the bottom, and there's heaps of room for the aftermarket pipe to come in. Now I've just put the center mounting point bolt in super loose, and it's what's holding the pipe there at the moment. So we've got no gaskets, no studs, no nothing. And you can see that, hopefully you can see, but yeah, the downpipe is pretty much lined up where it needs to be. So from here, I think we're going to mount it to the turbo first, and then work our way down to the flexi pipe. All right, well, the downpipe's actually all in and done up, and there's a couple of issues with this Scorpion downpipe that I probably should let everyone know about. The position of the O2 bung, just there, basically pushes the O2 into this heat shield. Hopefully you guys can see. And it's just not very good. It's actually stopping the bracket, which is halfway up the downpipe. Might have to circle it later on. Actually, let's see if we can get up there. Yeah, that bracket up in the middle there, that's about 10 mil away from the part on the block that it bolts to. So the downpipe is actually a little bit further back because of that O2 sensor. Now, because of the movement you have where it bolts onto the turbo, you can actually twist it a bit on those studs. So I've moved it as far away as I can before I tighten the top bolts up. And you may have noticed there, we actually reused the gaskets. Well, the kit didn't come with any gaskets, so I have just put some exhaust sealant on there. And of course, it didn't come with any bolts, and we snapped the bolts when we removed the original cat. So we have some new high tensile bolts just connecting it to the flexi pipe. But from this point, I think we can put the back engine mount back on, and we're nearly ready to start it up. So unfortunately I had the camera on time-lapse, but we did just start it up just to make sure that there was no leaks. We used a lot of WD when we were cutting the original downpipe, but it appears there's no exhaust leaks. We can put the heat shield back on. I want to warm it up properly, then see what it sounds like. What do you reckon, Dave?
Oh yes, I want to hear
this. Start her up. It's like cute little burble. It's so different. Can you give it a little rev? Just a little rev. And then we'll give it a few minutes to properly warm up. Sounds like a little track car.
It's good.
That's made the 4-cylinder sound better. Right, we're gonna let it properly warm up. We'll give it some proper revs, but you can already hear turbo whistle, and it's been running maybe a minute when we did the exhaust leak check, and another few seconds in. That sounds cool. All right, see you guys in a sec. Okay, so it's warmed up now. We're gonna give it a bit of a rev, probably 3 or 4 grand. See if we get some good turbo whistle. It properly backfires now. Or pops and crackles. Wow, okay. Don't forget, this car has got the RStuner Stage 1 map on it. Give it some more revs. More revs. Oh, it's sick. All right, kill it, kill it, kill it.
Look, I hope some of you find this helpful when it comes to doing your Decat. It was a bigger job than I was expecting. Part of me wishes I did just remove the axle instead of trying to cut it, but a lot of that's because I was trying to use a blunt blade to cut the exhaust, the cat off. If I was to give this a difficulty out of 10, I'll probably say it's a 7 out of 10 job, and that's using a lift. So if you're going to try and do it on jack stands at home, make sure you prep well. The other thing I didn't do was get a C-spanner to undo the back nut on the turbo. Getting to the back nut was really, really hard, and if I'd bought the right tool before starting with the job, which I knew about, it would have been a bit easier. But yeah, but aside from that, if you're going to do a Decat at home, you've got any questions, just give us a shout. This is my Megane. I've had this car for about 2 years. It's running the Stage 1 RStuner map. It is one of the most fun cars I've ever had. However, with my twin turbo build that's happened on the BMW, which is, it's gotten out of control, and as has the expense, I've actually sold this car to a good friend of mine, Lincoln, who's standing up over there. And part of the deal was fitting the Decat. He's going to do some track days with it, use it as it was intended, because I know that once my car, well, now my car is back on the road, this isn't going to get used as much. So I'm glad to see it's going to get used. He said we can use it for any videos that we want, and yeah, little things like this, we'll keep filming it. We're going to get him back to do a proper drive with the Decat. It's actually raining right now, so we can't go out and do the first drive. We were hoping to see some flames. But when the weather's good, we'll get it back, we'll do a drive, and we'll also see if the Decat improved its 0 to 60 time. Alright, I think that about sums it up. Look guys, thank you very much for watching. Again, if you've got any questions about fitting a Decat to your RS250, 265 or 275, before you do it, hit us up in the comments below. We always get back to you as quick as we can. And until the next one, peace!